1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there. Hope you had a great weekend. It's a Monday. It is. It's the 5th of December, and I welcome you to the show, wherein we will walk that thin line between what? Reality and our own sanity. That's, I think, the line we walk around these parts. So, remember I was telling you last week about this pizza shop in D.C. That had been the location used in a fake news story about the fact that it was a place where Hilary Clinton and John Podesta, let me try to remember exactly what was supposedly happening there. When they kidnapped children and they brought them to this pizza shop where there were like underground tunnels and all kinds of stuff, and they would hold children there as like sex slaves or something. Yeah, I think that's what it was, and this made its way into the internet, and a lot of people believed it. So much so that the pizza shop owner and his children and his employees were getting regularly threatened. Even people coming to the pizza shop threatening them, and then amazingly, the shops around them started getting the same kind of thing. Some guy who owns it's not the bookstore, there's a bookstore there that started getting trouble, and then there's another food store of some sort, I believe, that he was getting threats saying things like, we're going to take all of you and all your employees, line you up and shoot you. Okay, so this is out there, and maybe you heard the news already today that finally somebody, not surprisingly, showed up at the pizza shop, what was it, yesterday, with a rifle. And thank God nobody was hurt, but the guy did shoot up the place a little bit. Cops were called. The guy came up from some southern state, can't remember what, and he was going to go get some justice for all those tortured souls that Hilary and John Podesta had sexually abused. You following this? That's why I'm saying, for us to walk this line between reality and sanity in these times is no easy task. It's like passing a breathalyzer test when you've had a bottle of wine. Come on now, all together. Uh-oh, I missed a little bit. All together. Can you do it? Touch your finger to your nose. So there you have it. I mean, stories so ludicrous, so fanciful, and they're swallowed whole. Swallowed whole. What Trump has wrought. Then there was the New York policewoman. Did you see that one? This weekend, too, I'm just remembering these things. New York policewoman, a Muslim, with her young son. She was off duty. She was accosted by some racist, xenophobe, knows what, telling her to get the hell out of this country or blah, 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 blah. She's a New York City cop. Then, of course, there's Santa Claus at the Mall of America in Minneapolis. I guess, is it still the largest mall in the country? The Mall of America. So they got more than one Santa there. I mean, they got Santas galore. And they got one Santa is a former veteran of the Army veteran from Irving, Texas, who went all the way up to Minneapolis to be a Santa there. He loves doing this kind of work. He's done it before. And the only thing that makes him worthy of any attention with all the other Santas around is that this guy, Larry Jefferson, is black. So the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, paper there, did a story on the Mall of America's first black Santa, and within an hour had to close down the comments section of their newspaper. They announced that they were closing it down and said, looks like we had to turn comments off about Mall of America's first black Santa. Merry Christmas, everyone, said the Star-Tribune. This is Donald Trump's America, and we want to welcome you to it. I'm going to do something now I sort of don't want to do, but on the other hand, I always believe in knowing. I believe in reality. I know that makes me a little odd, but I believe in reality, and I want you to hear what some of those comments were so that the paper had to turn it off. Turn it off. I hope every self-respecting white parent does not take their children to this atrocity. Santa Claus was a German character from centuries ago when blacks were eating each other in Africa. Here's another. This is from a nice lady. Why can't these people-shaped apes just stick to their made-up Kwanzaa ritual? Hang on, I'm going to just do two more, I think. Yeah. This is from Victor. Give him a gun and some knives under his red suit, and when the little Christian children come sit in his lap, he can cut their throats. Don't ask me. And here's another. See, what happened is these are all from Twitter. They stopped the comment page because they were getting this kind of stuff, and so the haters went off to Twitter. This is racist. Santa was white since the beginning. Stop this racist lie now. And that leads me to the best Twitter remark I saw on top of all of this, which is, it comes from somebody who calls himself that's the jerk. This guy tweeted in response to all of this Christian love, you guys do know Santa isn't real, right? Now, let us recall who told these people in no uncertain terms that Santa was white. That was Megyn Kelly, ladies and gentlemen, who now is getting a lot of attention for being a tough, smart, broad, blah, 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 blah. Megyn Kelly on her Fox News show 3 years ago famously said and went to the mat with Santa Claus and Jesus were both white. Santa Claus does not exist. And Jesus was not really white. He was a Semite. And before the Semites, scattered into Europe and intermarried with some white folks, they were nice and brown. Yeah. Jesus was brown. He was a kinky-haired Jew. But, again, facts don't matter. Okay, so that's pretty horrible. The good news. I couldn't believe it when I heard it last night that all those protesters up there in North Dakota have won. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has said it will not grant an easement to the Dakota pipeline, and that's what they were trying to get, stopping that pipeline. Here's the problem, though. What, we got a call? Oh, we have a call. Hang on. Hello.
Hello, good morning, whatever.
Aww.
Santa was obviously black.
And why is that, Clarence?
Well, we all know he has 3 hoes.
All right. It wasn't that funny, but I'm going to give you a thank you for levity. He has 3 hoes.
He has 3 hoes.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho.
All right, so case closed, huh?
Case closed. Yeah.
So Santa's black, and in fact, Jesus is brown.
Come on now.
Yeah. Sorry, white guys.
That's all I have.
Well, it's more than enough, and I thank you.
Okay. All
Bye.
Right. Bye.
Bye. This need for white people to own everything, to have it all, is really bizarre to me. It's really bizarre. I think that's why when I read this a book review the other day, a book written by Tony Bennett, the singer, but probably more written by Scott Simon, the NPR host. He wrote it with, I'm sure, both men's reality comes through in it. And Tony Bennett, as you know, is the 90-year-old singer, artist, too. He's a good artist. This amazing man, 90 and going strong and still singing and packing them in. I happened to read this, and it made me think, believe it or not, there's a connection here. Because when I read what he wrote, what Tony Bennett said about his life, I thought, now see, here's a guy who gets it. Tony Bennett's a white guy. He totally gets that he was given a lot by virtue of his skin and his gender. This is a 90-year-old guy. He gets it. Because the reviewer says that what comes through when you read this book is this guy, Tony Bennett's gratitude. Think of that word. Think of that. Think of what gratitude is. And think of how many people don't feel it much. Entitled people don't feel gratitude because they don't recognize their gift they've been given. Tony Bennett feels constant gratitude for his life. He says, I know I'm lucky. I know I have been born, to have been born here, to have born. Everything he sees in his life, he feels, I am lucky. All those angry white guys out there, they're not thinking that. And when Tony Bennett was asked, well, so what made you who you are? Well, of course, it was his great mom. And, of course, it was the ethnic diversity of the neighborhood in Queens that he grew up in. He said there were Jews and Poles and Irish and Greek and African Americans as well as Italians, which is what he was. And he said living in that wonderful stew of a neighborhood, and these are his words, prepared him to live in America and to see the importance of not only tolerating differences, but welcoming them as part of the great wealth of this country. Gratitude instead of anger at what he doesn't have. We'll take a call. Hello.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike in D.C.
Hi, Mike.
Here's what I feel gratitude for, is that I can think critically. And when I hear a stupid story, I can say, that can't be true.
Right.
And apparently a large part of the population can't think that.
Well, but if you've been told that Hilary Clinton is like essentially, Satan, over and over and over again, I guess you believe that she's trafficking in children.
But say that story was at all plausible. None of the children's parents came through. You would plausibly believe that everybody would be in on this. It's just your inability to think critically is astounding to me, that you're an adult and you can't think critically. Like in Japan, I think it's Japan, they had to take the picture of a piece of pie off the Crisco container because people were buying it thinking there was a pie in there.
You mean
all these people think there's a pie in a Crisco container?
This is in Japan?
Yeah.
You mean so this stupidity is not just endemic here?
Well, the ability to just believe what's in front of your face.
Dear God.
And not say, wait a second, why would there be a pie in a thing called Crisco? Or how would you get a pie in there? You know what I mean? Just the inability of people to think critically is astounding to me.
Yeah.
I get that they're gullible, right? And they believe that Santa is white. Fine, Santa doesn't exist. But that other stuff.
He's puce. What? The other stuff, yeah.
What happens when a salesman knocks on your door and says, hey, for $63 we can do X, Y, and Z, and you say, oh, wow, okay. You have no ability to think critically.
I think people must have a need to believe what they need to believe. Yeah? I think in this unsettled world, and it is an unsettling world, that some people now, given the internet and given, the fact that you can find whatever comfort you need there, like-minded folks, I think people are just retreating into these bubbles that give them the world they want to believe. I don't know. The internet's going to go down in history as like the most horrifying thing that ever happened. I don't know. Mike, I don't know.
I just don't understand. I get that people are gullible and they, whatever. You cannot like her, and she doesn't have to be trafficking in child endangerment. And you can just simply not like her You don't need to say anything more than, I don't like her. Oh, one of my students in class a few weeks ago, right after the election, said they were both flawed candidates. And I said to her, well, if by both you mean one is a fascist and the other is missing a penis, then yeah, they're both flawed candidates.
What are you trying to do, get fired? What are you, what?
No.
You're going to end up on that watch list, huh?
I'm sorry?
You're going to end up on that watch list of
No.
professors who are being targeted now for not being politically correct in the Trump era. Oh, God almighty. All right, well, listen. Take a deep breath and...
And on the
plow
upside,
on.
you and I can think critically. We can look at something and say, wait a second, how might this not be correct? I never realized that was a skill before, but apparently it is.
Oh, no, it is, and it has to be taught. And that schools have to teach critical thinking. They do. They're obviously
and people
not.
have to go to school.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring us down.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Bye. So speaking of the child molesting Hilary Clinton, I just wanted to point this out, that, you know, the times that I have seen her since the loss, where she got 2.5 million more votes, I've seen pictures of her. She looks different. She does not look like the candidate Hilary Clinton. Have you noticed that? Have you seen, like, the few, like, selfies, the woman who bumped into her on a walk in the woods, that selfie? There's one where she's at a market and bumps into some people, and at a bookstore, and people are, like, taking selfies with her. She does not look, and that speech she gave, she looks different. You know why she looks different? Hillary, since the election, and I want to point this out, and I want to... Well, here. She's not wearing makeup. And her hair ain't perfect. Her hair is just meh. And she's not wearing eye makeup. So her eyes are nowhere near as obvious, and they're sort of faded a little bit into her head. She looks like I do, if without makeup. Cool. I so love that she is letting herself be herself. In that regard, not being elected might be the greatest gift that Hilary Clinton ever got. She might not know it now, but seeing that unadorned face, not the plastic one that had to run. Because if this woman without the makeup ran, oh God, one can only imagine what would be said. So someone wrote about this, and I essentially just said it. I ripped her off. She said of this, look, that I like to think that her new makeup-free look is one last middle finger to the patriarchy. If there's any silver lining to this election mess, it's that after 40 years of constant scrutiny and stricture, Hillary Clinton is finally, triumphantly, human again. Real. I totally agree. Okay, so back to the good news of the pipeline being blocked and all those incredibly tough Native Americans up there in the frozen tundra, triumphant. I was saying I was just stunned to see it. But right after I my exultation, this thought came into my head. Wait a minute. That was done by the president, pretty much. You got to figure the president giving a nod to the Secretary of the Army, who gave a nod to the Army Corps of Engineers, gave a nod. Yeah, so in 6 weeks or so, 7 weeks, when the president is a different person, what are the odds that he's not going to just turn that baby right around? I don't think they're very good. The reality is this company's just going to sit there and wait for Trump to come in and reverse what was done yesterday. And that's sad. And let us also note something. The president-to-be, this will be really shocking to you, owns stock in the company building the pipeline. Oh, but don't worry, that's not going to in any way affect what he does. No. Because Donald Trump doesn't take a note. No. There's no problem there. No problem. Keep moving. Continue. Hello. Morning.
Hey, why doesn't Obama, do you think he's going to, the federal judges that are up, the 80 of them that they didn't put in, do you think he's going to put them in? There's 80.
Are there 80 judges still sitting there waiting for approval?
Yeah, and
Are
they've
really?
been fooling around, and he can
Can he?
executive order or whatever. I don't know.
Can he? I don't know if he can.
Yeah, he can. I hope he does it.
Well, if he can, I hope he does
I
it
would
too.
put the other guy in too, the Supreme Court, because he can do that too. They said.
It'd be great.
At least those two things, really, and maybe take these 800,000 dreamers and make them citizens.
That'd be great too.
Give them the finger when they leave. I'm hoping he does that. That'd be something, you know.
Poor Obama.
Oh yeah, I like to see him just stay in there.
Poor Obama.
Yeah, they don't give him enough credit for what he did. I mean,
Well, you know what? He didn't take much credit. He didn't go around trumpeting every goddamn thing he did. As a matter of fact, he was quite the opposite. And that's a problem because Democrats don't sell themselves well. That's the big problem.
they don't.
We don't beat our chest and say, look what we just... We don't. It's got to stop. It's got to stop.
And another thing, this whole military thing.
Oh.
Every time the Republicans get in there and say, "Oh, we got to rebuild the military,"
Right.
and we spend so much money on the military, I want some money back. I don't think we made a good investment.
No, but they've got to keep the defense contractors happy because that's where they get their money.
But this time, when they go into another war,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to. Don't emotionally involve me. I'm going to just excommunicate myself from it. I'm not going to. I don't give a shit what you do. You want to kill some people? Go ahead and kill them. Don't tell me about them coming home as veterans because I don't want to hear that anymore. Because you're the ones that keep putting in these stupid wars. I don't want to hear it. I want to be no part of that. I don't want to hear about it. You did it. You killed the people. Fine. I don't want to hear about it anymore because there's no reason for it anymore.
Well, one of the confusing things is how Trump tried to say that throughout the campaign that he didn't think Americans should be policing the world and we shouldn't get into wars. And then he proceeds to appoint just about every retired general in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, bad dog. I mean, come on.
It's like generals, 4-star generals bumping into each other in the hallways. It's a joke. It's the most militaristic administration by population of its leadership that we've ever seen. So, right.
You know how Trump always says about Patton?
Yeah.
My father was in World War II. It was an Normandy invasion. A lot of those guys that were in there, they didn't like him. They thought he was full of shit. I hear a lot of guys say that Patton was all bullshit. They said the way he run things, hell, he was a tough bastard, but they said a lot of them weren't impressed with him. Including my father-in-law, he just laughs when people say that, when he was living.
Yeah.
So, that's how much Trump knows about the military.
Oh, Trump doesn't know anything about anything.
He thinks all these tough guys, he thinks
Yeah, I know.
And it's like this guy he picked. Oh, my God. Let's keep the generals out of it. You don't need all those generals in there. Oh, my God. It's like, I don't know.
Hey, but he knows more than the generals, so don't worry about it because he's in charge.
Now, this Huntsman is a good pick if they pick him.
Yeah, Huntsman is good. There's clearly some people desperately trying to get Huntsman would be good.
At least he's normal.
No, he's fine. Huntsman would be fine.
Yeah, I hope he picks him.
Much better than a Romney. It's clear he's not going to pick Romney. What he did with Romney was humiliate him. That's all he had to do. He had to pay Romney back. He paid him back.
And Romney was stupid enough to go there.
Right, fine. He did. He's done Romney. He got him. He got the, Romney kissing on his knees, like he said. Got him. He dropped to his knees if I told him to. He did. Now we all know. And so just unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for making this show so much fun. I'm really trying to keep it a little, just every once in a while, a little bit lighter, but it's not going to happen, is it? Henry writes, you started out the show with some ugly reports, the D.C. pizza shop, the Muslim policewoman, the online comments about the Black Santa. I said, welcome to Trump's America. These racists, writes Henry, have always existed and always will, but now they have a louder voice. Well, that's what I meant by Trump's America. He's let them all out. Told them to let it out. Some of their own kind now have access to the White House and to the president, and these people also have the anonymity of the internet to spew their hate without accountability. I think we can at least thank Trump for exposing racists. Well, exposing them in that, you mean, he let them out. Yeah. And showing everyone what a real problem we have. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. What do you have that smile on your face?
Comics, because I can't.
You know what we've done? We forced Celine over. She's over on her computer reading comics. All right, you do what everybody has to do, whatever they have to do to keep their heads together. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I have decided I am going to continue to live my life, to enjoy my life, to not let Trump take that from me. And I will pay attention, but I will not react to absolutely. As I said, I am going to pace myself. I am going to pay. Have no fear. I'm reading it all. I know about his tweets. I know the Taiwan thing. I know all of this. Oh, speaking of the Taiwan thing, I got an email here from our my foreign correspondent, Bree, who is all over Asia. That's where he lives now. But he's been a listener and contributor to this show for 20 years, radio and into the podcast. And Bree writes this about the call. I was a research fellow in Taiwan in 2013. When I heard about the Trump phone call, I was very nervous about my friends and colleagues in Taiwan. I've become calmer now, but it was unsettling. I was wondering if there might be some action taken by China. And if you look at Trump's tweet, look at when he called. when the call was 4:44 a.m. That time, 4:44, is, to the Chinese who believe in this kind of number stuff, 4:44 is an inauspicious time. The number 4 is avoided like the plague in Chinese culture. Just adding an interesting note here. So here's a guy in our audience, Bree, who's looking at this and seeing things like, oh my God, look when the call was made, 444. The Chinese will flip out at that. It's like here, 666, who knows what, blah, blah, blah. He says, also, one thing that people may not be aware of, China has somewhat taken de facto control of many parts of Taiwanese society. For example, there are huge numbers of mainland students in Taiwan, and many Taiwanese have married mainlanders. Also, many radio shows airing in southern Taiwan are produced on the mainland. The trade and business investments are very large between the two. On the other hand, there are indigenous Taiwanese who are not related to the mainland. Anyway, Bree goes on with all of this information about the commingling of China and Taiwan and all of these bits of information he has showing what a tinderbox it is. This is Bree, one of us, clearly knowing more than the soon-to-be president of the United States, understanding more about this part of the world than our president of the United States, next soon-to-be, who has refused to let anyone at the State Department, these are people who serve all administrations. He won't get information from them before he makes these calls. And he won't take intelligence briefings. What in the name of God? This is what all these Trump voters wanted? Scary. Okay. Something light. I'm going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and lighten things up as much as I possibly can. Just to remind us that it's not all horror. So, I'm taking us back to the playground outside my elementary school in the 50s in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where I was very proud to be able to do double Dutch jump rope. Did you guys do that? Celine, did you ever do double Dutch? Could you do that? Nah.
I wasn't very good, but I could do it.
You could do it? You could get in there and not get tangled and still keep going?
Yeah, I was good at running in.
Okay, you're good at running in, and then you got a little... Okay, well, I remember as a child, it was just such a huge accomplishment for me. What I did not know is that the whole double Dutch thing, that's when two ropes are going. And you got to jump in at the right time and then, keep. It obviously makes you jump twice as fast as one rope because there's two that keep coming under your feet. What I didn't know, and I found out from reading this weekend, is that double Dutch, the whole thing, came out of black girls in the 40s in New York. They're the ones who invented it. This is another black contribution. They figured it out, and it spread. I'm amazed that it spread that quickly. So if I was doing it in the 50s in all white Green Bay, Wisconsin, and they had just pretty much invented it. It says here, the schoolyard game that was perfected by black girls in urban American communities, okay, not just New York, after World War II. And it got me thinking, how much of everything we do and we enjoy is because of the contributions of black Americans. We whites take it on, take it in, love it, have no idea who gave it to us. I was blown away by that fact. So, this was in an article, by the way, about double Dutch tournaments and how it's now become a competitive sport. Actually, it became a competitive sport in New York in the 70s and 80s when certain people wanting to give girls the same opportunities to compete as boys had established tournaments there. And what these guys do in double Dutch, believe me, is nothing like I was doing on that playground. And I mean, man, they're flipping, they're doing God knows what. I mean, it's extraordinary. Well, it turns out now that there's at the Apollo Theater, the Apollo Theater in Harlem, there is a double Dutch tournament taking place. It's called the Super Bowl of Double Dutch. This is its 25th anniversary, and I guess it happened yesterday. But get this. You know where the teams are coming from? They're coming from Japan. They're coming from France. They're coming from all over the world, and there aren't a lot from the United States. So again, here is something that black girls invented that has now gone international, and now black girls really don't do it much, but they go back. The Super Bowl is held in Harlem. But the people doing it, there are some black teams, some kids still, but they don't win. They don't win. These other guys have been winning left and right for years. And more girls do not do this anymore because black girls in Harlem are just like kids anywhere these days. They're not as physically active. So at recess, they're not doing double Dutch. They're sitting there with their cell phones. Countries in Latin America, in Asia, have embraced the sport in part because they are in love with African American culture. It's part of the hip-hop culture they want to embrace. And what happens is a lot of these teams from other countries, I mean, they're supported. They've got money. They travel all over the world, these other teams, and compete. The girls in Harlem don't have money behind them. They ain't traveling to Morocco and France and Germany to compete. They don't have that kind of money. So the descendants of the culture from which double Dutch emerged do not have the same resources to compete now. Because they're just black in America. But I just wanted to let you know. For the last 15 years, almost every freestyle competition has been won by groups outside of the United States. And so, as usual, the world embraces American culture, but what they're really embracing is Black American culture. David writes, Al Gore, David Letterman, and Jon Stewart, once they were all out of the limelight, they did the male equivalent of going without makeup. They all grew beards. That's true. Big, scruffy, hippie-like beards. Yeah, I don't like any of them. I'm not into beards. I think Letterman looks odd.
I think Jon Stewart still looks like
Jon Stewart looks, yeah, Jon Stewart I love. Anyway, yeah. Letterman's kid. The one doesn't like it. But yeah, they do. So they're finally freed in that respect, and there's something wonderful about that. Speaking of American culture, I want to say that I reacted to something I saw on television this weekend. It was Saturday evening. And I was watching believe it or not, guys, sorry to admit it, the Big Ten championship game between Penn State and Wisconsin. Now, I am a graduate of the University of Wisconsin, and so obviously I was rooting for them. And it was a hell of a game, by the way. I, who don't watch a lot of football anymore, that was a hell of a game. And my congratulations to Penn State for a hell of a comeback. However, during the course of that broadcast, there are commercials. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. There were two, one was a commercial, the other was sort of a commercial. There was a commercial that was a commercial for an upcoming reality show. I still can't believe I saw it, but I think I did. Because I scribbled, I ran for paper to write it down. The show is obviously a very limited show, but it's called The Great Christmas Light Fight. And what that's going to be is people, I guess, all over the country are competing to have their homes be the most decorated place on earth. You know, more lights, more things, more whatever. And they started showing these, these lights and home. And I'm sorry. I don't think more of anything makes it better. You know what I mean? There's something in American culture that always leads to excess. I mean, literally ruinous excess. So that while it used to be nice, you'd see a few lights on trees and a few maybe framing a doorway or something, and it was lovely. Now, in our culture, it is a war, it seems. Oh, yeah? You got a 10-foot Santa Claus sitting on your yard? Well, I'm going to counter you with a 15-foot Grinch with a Santa Claus hat on. Uh-huh. And then I'm putting loudspeakers out, blaring music, Christmas carols all the time. So this is going to be a reality show in which people try to one-up the other on their Christmas lights. And I'm sorry, I look at that and I say, it's repulsive. It's American excess. The worst part of our culture. Taking something that was lovely and making it into some garish, competitive nightmare. Anybody listening to me? I can't take it. I see what people do now in their yards and their homes. I think, are you out of your fucking minds? Have you lost sight of something? More is not better. I mean, let's not even get into tastefulness. Let's not even get into, sort of aspect of aesthetics. It's grotesque. It is emblematic, in fact, of American culture, where everything is turned into a competition, right? I'm sorry, but when I see a title of a show in which the word Christmas and the word fight are right next to each other, I don't think that is a great thing. But I think it's very American. Sickening to me. Am I the only person upon seeing that promo for this damn show who wanted to vomit? Probably one of a few. And then not too long after that, in between this wonderful football game, I think this might have been at halftime, there was something called, get this, the Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway. I thought, oh boy, steel thyself. Here comes another bit of American cultural grotesquerie. The Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway! And do you know what happened? 2 people. I walked out of the room, but I could still hear it. 2 young people. I don't know if they're in college already or want to go. Competed against each other by seeing how many footballs or something they could throw into a Dr. Pepper can, a large Dr. Pepper can. The winner was given $100,000 for tuition. I have to say this. There are whole swaths of the globe that, if they happened upon this, would be dumbfounded. You mean they make young people that don't have the means compete during halftime at football games in some silly thing, throwing into, and it's sold, so it's a Dr. Pepper challenge. It's commercial, it's competitive, and those are the 2 absolute things that America's about. Competitive and commercial, and the lucky one who puts the most footballs in the can gets $100,000 and gets to go to college! Yay! Grotesque. In a lot of countries, everybody gets to go. You don't have to be humiliated. On national television, everybody gets to go. So they're watching a game Saturday night on commercial television. I was treated to America and its culture. Even football. I mean, it's perfect. The whole thing's perfect. There it was, the great Christmas light fight and the Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway. And I want to say, grotesque. Grotesque. Okay, one last thing before I go. Lori, you're writing. The article was published. Yeah, I saw that people were saying that General Flynn, who's Trump's going to be national security advisor, also perpetuated the Pizzagate rumor. That's what they're calling it, about Hillary and Podesta. I'm not sure that's true, although it certainly could be. I mean, there'll be plenty to dump on Flynn. He did retweet some totally outrageous fake news stories. I'm not sure he retweeted that one. I mean, I've read a few things and I'm not sure. But he has retweeted from the same source that put out the pizza shop child sexual trafficking nonsense. And that's more than enough, ain't it? Oh, God, Milton, you're always telling me things I don't know, and I thank you for it, but that's depressing. Lynn, the show is in its 5th season. Jesus, God. It started as a nice acknowledgement of people, usually families, who enjoyed Christmas decorating. It has become a garish manifestation of excess and competition. Last year featured sponsored light shows, where local businesses were encouraged to help the participants with their displays in exchange for having their businesses mentioned on ABC. I'm a little bit behind things then. Disgusting. Repulsive. I'm sorry. Christmas equals competition and commercialism. Buy more stuff and put it on your house, lest people think you don't have the proper Christmas spirit. Ugh. What? I have a call? I have a call? Hello?
Hello, it's Dave from Washington.
Hi, Dave from Washington.
Real quick, you were talking about Michael Flynn, the incoming national security guy at
Yeah.
Pizzagate.
Yeah.
It's his son. His son is the one who's been starting this. He's with, I'm trying to read it right.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Lori, she does say it's his son.
Yeah.
I didn't read that clearly. What? So Flynn's son is spread the story about...
Yeah, he's on this far, white conspiracy page on Reddit.
Okay.
You know what Reddit is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been going on about it there. It was just debunked, of course, in his most latest tweet, or whatever the fuck they call him. It says, until Pizzagate proven to be false, it'll remain a story. The left seems to forget something about Podesta emails and the many, quote, coincidences tied to it, blah, 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 blah. These people just don't stop. They just do not stop.
No.
And, you know what, if you're so stupid that you actually... The first thing you can say about Hilary Clinton, she killed Vince Foster, nobody cares. Or they did this, they did that, nobody cares. So you have to dig up the absolute worst possible scenario you could think of, and what is worse than child molesters, So this is what it has to be. Hillary Clinton and Podesta are child molesters. There's no worse accusation you can make of somebody. So, of course, that's where they have to go. And, of course, a bunch of idiots fall for it because they're so freaking stupid. Pardon me, but I'm sick and tired of having to deal day to day with the stupidity of these people.
Well, get used to it. They're in charge.
Oh, yeah, there's that. Nothing's going to change my world. The only thing I have to worry about, because I've got a good job I can't lose, I have VA health care, so I'm not going to lose that. I'm not going to get an abortion. I don't need birth control, any of that stuff. The only thing I have to worry about is the economy tanking and my investment accounts disappearing.
The economy's going gangbusters because corporate America, well, they'll
Yeah, that's not going to last.
That's not going to last. I absolutely agree with you.
It's not going to last.
It's not going to last. It's going to go down.
It's going to go to hell in a bucket.
Yeah.
But that's really the only thing he can do that can hurt me. That or start a nuclear war and, somebody drop a bomb on my head. Other than that, I don't really have anything to lose other than my mind in a Trump administration.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. That's a very selfish point of view,
God,
probably.
I did my best. I voted the right way, and I voted the right way my entire life, and this is still where we are. Boy, I'm really glad you have a radio show where I can say that, by the way. I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm tired of beating my head against the wall. A couple stupid people can wreck what millions and millions of good people do. And that's where we are. And there's 2.5 million more good people than stupid people, but the stupid people won, so this is what we got to deal with.
I hear you.
It's after 11 o'clock. I got to go.
Bye. Well, I had one other little thing, but it's too late. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are there. And I know the feeling's mutual, so we'll keep on keeping on, okay? Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.